everybody. Hello and welcome to this very hot LinkedIn Loving Live, where we are shining a light on the world's leading B2B social media platform, that is LinkedIn. It's so hot, I'm melting and I can't get the words out. I'm really delighted because today I'm joined by Charlie Hunt, who is the founder of the Line One, which is a safe-to-use LinkedIn CRM tool. And what we're going to be looking at is how can we dig into the gold that's sitting in our first degree LinkedIn connections. So there's absolutely no doubt that we need to be connected on LinkedIn for sure. It helps grow our visibility, it extends our reach, and helps us get in front of the people that we want to meet. But you know, sometimes we get so focused, don't we, on growing our network that we forget to nurture the people that are already in it. And yet, our first degree connections can be our warmest opportunities. This is why I'm hugely delighted that, Charlie, you're here joining us today to talk about why we should refocus our efforts on people we already know and how we can go about it. So hello and welcome, Charlie. Thank you so much for joining me.
And thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. It's one of my favorite topics because I think there's so many quick wins in your first connection. So hopefully we can be very helpful today.
Oh my goodness, I 100%. I'm so excited. I think this is going to be such a powerful conversation for people. But just before we start, before we get too excited and carried away, I just want to say, if you're new to these love-ins and wondering what the heck they are short, bite-sized LinkedIn learnings over lunch. And every month I'm joined by a guest expert to share their expertise on subjects that will help support your LinkedIn activity results. Definitely, this is going to be one of those today. Now, we do like to make these LinkedIn love-ins as interactive as possible. So if you do have any questions, please put them in the comments box on the events page. And we can ask your questions directly to Charlie while we have her here, which is, you know, we've got a great opportunity to really mine Charlie for her wonderful information. And I have a little audience icebreaker for you. So I want to know, what do you do with your first degree connections on LinkedIn? Do you connect and disappear, or do you like to start conversations with them? Let me know. Do you have a strategy for your LinkedIn connections? So enough waffling from me. Let's get started. So I actually think that understanding our first degree connections, why, Charlie, are they gold dust? Where's the gold in them?
Well, I think one of the things is our mindset. So in B2B sales, I feel that the mindset, and especially of Sales Navigator and things like that, is very much let's build a list. And that feels like that's, you know, the hard work of what you're doing. But actually, you've already got so many people who are valuable in your network. So why not spend your time nurturing the people that are kind of they're already slightly interested in you because they're a connection. So there's some reason that they've connected with you, which suggests they're more open to a random stranger. And you've already got something in common, which is just the connection. So even if you're worried about sending kind of sales messages or whatever, you can still say, oh, hey, we've been connected for ages. Like, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. So I think it's that mindset. But then there's real actual value as well in those first degree connections.
I think that's really wonderful to hear that, because it reminds me, you're right, people connect for a reason. And it does give you that initial rapport opportunity, doesn't it? But I think there's, you know, the mistakes that people make when it comes to connecting on LinkedIn. Do you think there's many of those? What do you think people do wrong?
So I think there's kind of two things to say. So first, I think connecting with a lot of people can often be, and we all fall into this trap. We really do. It looks good to outsiders if you have thousands of followers and thousands of connections, but really you don't know those people. I know of people who are using fake engagement and they have hundreds of thousands of followers and they are going to a coach struggling with revenue. And you will all have heard of these people's names, and they are, you know, they're not making money out of LinkedIn, even though they have hundreds of thousands of followers. So that's not really the way to make sales on LinkedIn. So I think it can be like a procrastination of thinking, until I have this many LinkedIn followers, I won't be able to make any sales or whatever it is. But then I think the second thing is, apart from kind of collecting people as like trophies, You also are, every time, especially with the new algorithm and the way that LinkedIn's algorithm works now, you're sending, every time you do anything really on LinkedIn, you're sending it a signal about who you are, what topics you're an expert in, who they should show your content to, and what content they should show you in the newsfeed. So if you're connecting with people who are completely outside of your target audience, completely outside of your field of expertise, it's going to be really confused, and it's going to affect your impressions and who it puts your content in front of. So really what you want is to connect with the right people that are going to buy from you, to create some kind of rapport with them so that they buy from you. And you do that through connecting with them, DMing them, commenting on their content, and creating your content and getting it in front of them. It's like, if it all really boils down to that. And I think we can get so distracted with worrying about impressions or follower counts and things.
Amen. Totally amen. And I think we can just end the live there, because that is the nugget and the gold that we need. So yeah, that's exactly what we should be doing. Do you know what I have seen? You know, I think this goes back to a long time ago on LinkedIn, where it was build a really big connection list. And you're right, I see people with loads of connections get absolutely next to nothing on their posts, because they're not using LinkedIn as a relationship building tool. They're just using it somewhere to throw content out there, and that's it. They're not there to build relationships with people at all. And I've actually been on LinkedIn 20 years now. I joined in 2006, Valentine's Day 2006. Amazing. My love affair with LinkedIn started. Yeah, I have just over 10,000 followers. I do not have a huge list, because I want an engaged list of people who are interested in what I've got to say. So that's really interesting. So it's really, we're not collecting connections here at all. So it really does beg the question then, isn't it, that we need to be very strategic in our approach to connecting in the first place, because we're not connecting with everyone and everyone.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think if you think about it like a networking event, you're not going to go like, okay, let's say you go to a networking event, there are 100 people there, and you make it your mission to meet 50 people. And if you go around and say, hi, I'm Charlie, and then move on, you're, rather than having 5 deep and interesting conversations with people who are in your target audience, like, that's kind of how I think about it. It's so much more valuable to have those deep connections that are actually likely to lead to something, and you can both be helpful to each other, because that's how you make sales in B2B, really.
Do you know what, Charlie? That's exactly right, isn't it? Because it's about being targeted, isn't it? And not having it. In the past, when I worked, I was employed as a marketing manager, and we used to use the whole mass marketing techniques of sending out loads of emails and lots of telemarketing just to see what sticks. And it's getting out of that mindset, isn't it? To go, right, who is my ideal client? How do I want to get in front of? And then understand how you're going to get in front of them. And like you say, we're probably already connected to enough of them already to start going, actually, who am I connected to that I want to get in front of? So where should somebody start? They've got, their however many numbers of first-degree connections. Where should we start? Because some people have lots, don't they? And they go, they're not even relevant anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So in Lime, we've made it really easy for you to upload all of your connections and kind of sort through them. So you can get a 14-day free trial of Lime. So you could try doing that. And then you can delete Lime once you've gone through and got your list of useful people. But you can also, LinkedIn's filtering is not amazing yet, but I do think they're doing work on it. So I would just go to the search bar. And it's weird getting to the advanced search. So what I normally do is go to the search bar, put in a space, and then just click enter. And then you've got kind of all the things at the top
the people
that allow you to search. Yeah. So then you just select first degree connections, and then try to look for your keyword. You can sort by location. There's lots of different things. Just have a play around with that. And just kind of go back to everything you know about your target audience, or just the best clients you've had in the last 2 years, and then just try to see what they have in common, and try to just fit that within the search filters as much as you can. And then Sales Navigator is obviously amazing at this. I don't know, Judy, you know more about Sales Navigator than I do. Can you sort by first connections on there?
Yes. Okay. Yes, you can. Yeah. I mean, you can sort by first connections on the free version of LinkedIn, can't you? Yes. And you know, Sales Navigator. I think this is why the Line One is such a valuable tool, because obviously Sales Navigator is a very expensive tool and probably overkill for a lot of people, the individual business owners. Whereas I think, you know, your tool, which we'll talk about in a minute, is a much safer tool and a much more cost-effective option, isn't it? And then having to pay for Sales Navigator.
Yeah, I think so. I think Sales Navigator is like £60 or £70 a month now, which is
£100 for the base level.
Okay, wow. Yeah, so I find it really useful in terms of building lists, but I just find it's that old-fashioned way of doing sales, which is like, let's build a list, let's send out one message and hope they're interested at that time. And I just think because of AI now, the barrier to entry is so low. Like I used to do cold outreach on email and LinkedIn DMs, and it worked really, and I had a funny email and it worked really well. But now with AI, it just doesn't work because the barrier to entry is so low and everyone's doing it. And everyone's just sick of all those cold emails and DMs. So you have to build up a relationship now. And that's kind of what we try to do with Lime, rather than the kind of Sales Navigator way, which I do still think is brilliant, Sales Navigator, but mainly for kind of building lists and that kind of prospecting.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. It's so having that targeted list, being really clear, and maybe just working a few at a time, because, you know, as Karen here has said, should she do a call of her connections? But you know, there are people who do have a lot of connections, and it could be a little bit overwhelming in terms of how am I going to approach. And I think the other thing is that you can download your connections from LinkedIn as well. And I think that's a good place to start. And in fact, that's what you do with Line One, isn't it? Download them and then you can upload them to Line One. So Line One can do all the lovely searching for you.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and then, sorry, should we answer Karen's question?
So, yes.
Yeah. So, this is one for do as I say, not as I do. I personally it takes so long to cull connections. If someone comes by on my newsfeed and they're sharing stuff that's like, you know, it's political, or I mean, I don't mind some politics, but you know, it's kind of too divisive, or something like that, I will remove them. If someone sends me a cold DM that's rubbish, I will remove them, because I know that when I connect with someone, when someone asks to connect with me, I often will see who we have in common to decide whether that person might be, you know, legit. So I don't want my name in there, kind of like always telling people my mutual connections that person's legit. So then I will remove them. I also went through and removed people from certain parts of the world where just like Lime is just going to be too expensive for them at the moment. So that was quite a quick way to get rid of people, but it does take a long time to go through and get rid of people that are not very useful. Some people swear by it and they love it, but it was more useful with the old algorithm for LinkedIn. So the old algorithm would show your post to a certain percentage of your connections. Then if those people engage, it would show it to the next. So if you've got lots of people who are irrelevant, it's unlikely to get to the next stage, because those people probably won't comment on your content. But now you could have an audience of like 5 and you could get 1 million views, technically.
Technically, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? Culling, because it isn't an easy thing to do. LinkedIn doesn't make it easy to do. So I think probably, like you say, you're better off using your time to identify a really nice tight list of people already within your first degree connections that you want to focus on. Exactly. and go after them. So I think you're quite right about the DMs. You know, instantly I'll also disconnect from people. Any pitch slaps, and you can tell they automated the AI. Again, that's just what I was talking about before, that whole mass marketing thing. Let's just chuck it out there and see what sticks. You know, there's no relationship building in there at all. And you know, I see in my emails where they scrape the data from LinkedIn, because on my LinkedIn I've got my first name in uppercase just because it makes it stand out more. And, you know, so on the emails, I can see Dear Judy in uppercase, or they just take the name of your company page. Yeah. It's just it's just bad. But we can't do anything about bad actors on LinkedIn. We just need to focus on what we're doing. So that's what I tell people. Don't focus on the bad actors. Just focus on what you want to be doing.
I always think that when you come by on my page, Judy, that you're like, that I'm like, oh, it must be so easy for her to get rid of spam DMs because they must always put your name in capitals. So that's how you know that it's like AI. I'm always quite jealous of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't do it because of that. It's just what I've noticed as a result of doing that and stuff. But yeah, so it's just, instantly disconnect from people like that. Yeah, I think it's also about careful about who you connect with, who sends you a connection request. You know, doing your due diligence. Do you want to connect with them? Are they going to fit your ideal client profile? Are they likely to know anyone who will know your ideal client profile? And then move forward with that. And just, you know, a lot of people go, I don't like to ignore connection requests. Honestly, ignore. It's not a problem.
It won't
Not
notice.
a problem. So that's really interesting. So we've got our list. We've got our first degree connections. We've gone through. We've either downloaded them or we've used a tool like the Lang one to find our ideal list. How do we go about nurturing them? How do we go about building those relationships then?
So I think if they create content, then that is just the perfect way to build a relationship with people. There are some people who have taken me like 2 years to warm up, but they're kind of, you know, they are so supportive of Lime and what we're doing. They're so valuable and they know me as well and they know what we're doing and they can give me great advice as well. And honestly, just the relationships you build from commenting on people's content and then them seeing yours are just amazing. It's like a proper friendship, you know, just through LinkedIn. So it's honestly so valuable. If they don't comment, if they don't post on LinkedIn and they're not very active, I also would include people who create content on LinkedIn. You comment on their stuff, but they never reply, and you'll start to get that feeling that you're not actually building a relationship with them because they're just there spraying out content and they don't kind of interact with their audience. So I'd include those people as well, but you got to comment a few times to find out if they're like that. But yeah, so those kind of people, you probably you need to send DMs really. And I think I did a post today saying it's kind of the scariest part of LinkedIn is sending the DMs. So a few tips for it. One, don't make the kind of list of people you send DMs to too small because you'll get really hung up on the people who aren't replying rather than having your time taken up with the people who are replying. So just don't, I mean, I know lots of people who are kind of very influential on LinkedIn and they don't get replies to all of their DMs. So don't worry. It's nothing about you. You haven't annoyed that person probably. They just are too busy or they don't want to reply. So there's just take that out of your mind, any worry about it. That's what LinkedIn's there for. It's a sales platform, really. And then, I think if you can find something about them or their company in the news, if you can find something you have in common with them, maybe they've posted on a different platform like Twitter or something about something that you have thoughts on, that's a great... Pardon?
So I was getting another platform from it.
Yeah, weirdly they exist.
How weird, yeah.
But yeah, if you can kind of connect with them in that way, that's the most organic way to kind of connect with people and make that connection. If you can't find anything about them on the internet, I would say I personally hate small talk. I hate when people send me that like loads and loads of messages of small talk and I know a sales pitch is coming and I'm like, oh, can you not, it's not my job to like say whether I'm a warm lead for you or not. You've got to figure it out yourself. And I could spend all day replying to DMs of people like that. So personally, I'm not a big fan of that kind of small talk. But I am a big, so I think, if you can warm them up, great. If not, just say who you are and what you do. One of the things I find really useful is saying, do you know anyone who could use this? And it's such a soft sell then. So then they might start thinking about you in that kind of context. If they reply to your DM, they're much more likely to see your LinkedIn post, which is great. So you can kind of start then warming them up because they'll see your content. Send them something useful if you're doing a webinar, if you've got a white paper. I don't think many of us really do white papers anymore. Now we have AI, but you know, if you've done any kind of thought leadership or anything, share that with them, something valuable. And then on the extreme end, I've got, my friend, he has an agency, so his contract, anytime he wins a contract, it's worth like $100,000. So it's kind of, you know, it's worth it for him to do this. But you could probably think of your own kind of smaller version of it. So he just says, I'm trying the 100 best restaurants in London. Do you want to join me for lunch at one of them? And he's got like 6 clients in 2 months from doing that. So you know, they are really kind of valuable ways of doing things. It's not gonna work for everyone. It's a really big investment, and especially because Lime is like £23 a month, but definitely wouldn't work for me. But yeah, there are lots of things like that you can do just to build a relationship with someone.
And I think you've hit the nail on the head there, because this isn't cold calling as such. We are using LinkedIn as a tool so that people recognize us. And we're obviously doing our own posts, but we're commenting. Now, there's a big hoo-ha at the moment, isn't there, about, oh, commenting's a new posting. But, you know, for me, commenting has always been really super important on LinkedIn. And you can't, you know, can't comment on, if you've got, like I've just said, I've got 10,000 followers at the moment. I can't comment on everybody. It's just not going to be worthwhile. You've got to be quite focused with it. So it's about understanding really what's their challenge, and what you're trying to pull out what their problem is, isn't it? You know, what is it that they've got a challenge with, and not going in. I was always told, like you, don't bother with the whole, you know, lovely hot day, aren't we sweating? But go straight in with, sure, is this a problem for you? I may have something to help. Would you be interested in me sending you, or something like that? Some real short things like that. Right, so I do have a question here for you. Sorry, and I'm just looking at all the questions that are coming in, and we need to. So Fiona's asked, how do you work out if they're a warm lead during these conversations?
I think, well, hopefully, if you've been quite strategic in picking out who you want to work with, you'll already know that they're in your target audience. So hopefully that gives you some sense of how worth it is to spend your time on this person. And I would also say, on LinkedIn, it's quite hard to tell what someone's thinking is, because you can't see them, right? If you're on a call, you can get a really good idea of whether they're likely to buy from you or not. On LinkedIn, it's a little bit more difficult, and you don't have a good idea of their revenue or whether they can afford it or anything. Yeah. But if they're in your target audience, they are worth spending time on, because they'll know other people in your target audience. They might not be ready yet, but they might come around. So one of my favorite examples is I sent a DM to the head of brand for LexisNexis, which is a FTSE 100 law tech company. He was so lovely once we started working together, but he took 2 years to reply to my DM. And this is when I had a copywriting agency, and he, after 2 years, was like, oh, I've loved your content. Never commented ever. I love your content. I've been looking for ways to work together, and I've finally got something I need your help with. And like, we had such a good relationship from there, and yeah, he was lovely to work with, but he didn't reply to me for 2 years. So it is worth kind of keeping going with people, even if you think they're kind of maybe getting a little bit cold, just because you never know. And it is really hard to tell if someone's a warm lead on LinkedIn. And I think the more you do it, the more your instincts will kick in, and you'll start to see patterns in the people that say yes and the people that say no. And you know, if you think the conversation's like dragging on and you're sick of it, just try to take it to the next level. Then like, that's probably your sign to send them a calendar invite, or try to go for a coffee or whatever it is. Yeah. And just then you can get a much better read on them, I think.
I think that it's true, isn't it? Because I think people give up too soon, don't they? They send one message and then, oh, they didn't get back to me, and then they ignore them. And I think it's so important as well. It's about staying top of mind, isn't it? And you're dropping into the DMs when, like you said before, you've got something of value, or you're doing an event, and just staying top of mind until somebody is ready to buy from you. Because we just don't know. We don't know where people are in their buying process, and things like that. I've just got some other questions here for you, Charlie. I knew we would have loads. Just going back to the culling, Cara has asked the question, how would you use this culling focus with people who are also following your company page? So you can't unfortunately cull your company page followers. So if they're following your company page, following your company page, they're following your company page. So you just have to leave it at that. So there's not much that you can do there. So this is very much, we're talking about the personal level here, from a personal profile rather than a company page.
But if they're following you and your company page, then that is a really strong signal that they probably quite
absolutely.
Like it and go for it to start chatting to them.
Do you know, that's a really good point, because in Sales Navigator, it gives you this buying intent signals. Look, who's looked at your profile? If they're looking at your profile, they're following your company page. It's like, yeah, these are definitely good things to follow up. And it gives you a reason then to go. I do go and look at who's following my company page. Is there any second degree connections that look like they would be good people to connect with? I will go and send them a connection request saying, thank you for following my company page. It'd be great to connect directly. So yeah, it is absolutely. So I just want to go back to this nurturing. So nurturing, we are engaging, we're commenting, we're posting ourselves, demonstrating our expertise, and we're following up in the direct messages. How much time should we spend doing this nurturing of our network on LinkedIn?
I think exactly, yeah. But I actually wrote a case study for a Lime customer last week, and he was kind of saying to me, like, I used to try and do everything on LinkedIn and it resulted in me doing absolutely nothing. And he now does 15 to 30 minutes a day. He has 80 people in his kind of follow-up schedule. So they're like ideal clients, people who could partner with him, whatever. And he just comments on, like, you know, he'll do kind of 5 days a week. Every morning, he'll just comment on kind of 10 to 20 of them. And then that is yielding him good results. And he said he's sticking to it, which I think is the main thing. So I think this is, especially as business owners, we get so excited and we are so over ambitious for ourselves. But you just got to try to keep the list minimal so that you can actually build a relationship with those people. Because if you've got like 200 people to follow up with and you can only get round to them once every 3 weeks, they're not going to remember you. It's just too long between the commenting. So I would, just try to keep it really narrow. And then you can do 15 to 30 minutes a day, maybe on LinkedIn, just commenting and hopefully writing and doing posts.
Following up and direct messaging. And I think that, and obviously that's what the Lang one, excuse me, can help you do, isn't it? Because you can then use that, excuse me, sorry, to identify that list of 80, and you can go in and then comment and stuff. So you've got, it's having a structure, isn't it? And an approach.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So you can have reminders. So you just have a long list of people. You just click their activity and it takes you into their activity feed. And then you can see if they posted and comment, rather than like hoping that they'll come up on your newsfeed or viewing their profile every single day like a stalker.
Yeah. And there is an alternative way of doing that, where you can search posts by members and then bookmark it. So there are ways and means of getting around it. But I think having a tool, either Sales Navigator or the Line One, is actually a really effective way of doing it. We are nearly on time, but Laura did put a question in twice, so I do apologise, Laura. So I think we should, if we could just answer this for Laura, it'd be great. So the people who may buy from you might be the silent, non-engaging type. So it's difficult to DM them cold. So it is difficult to DM cold people, but you can still do it. But you have to be connected with people first and foremost, don't you, to have. So they're not, 100% cold.
Yeah, I think it is really hard, and there are a lot of industry. I mean, I'm working with a translator at the moment. It's very hard for her because you either need translation or you don't. It's not really something you can kind of sell at a particular time, and probably the same for you as well, Laura. So I think, but you'll have a good read on this. So if you've got clients who have changed careers, you might know what's the trigger that might change them, might start them looking at a new job. Like, is it that they've been in their current job for 3 years? I think Sales Navigator does allow you to do a bit more of this filtering. But I appreciate not everybody wants to spend £100 a month. It's crazy. So yeah, I think if you can kind of see what types of careers are people tending to change at the moment. So I think because we have so much disruption with AI, you'll probably find that there are some job types who are looking for that change at the moment. So maybe those are the people to go after. You could try different industries. So you could say, okay, I'm going to test it out. I'm going to have 20 people from 4 different industries, and I'm going to try to nurture them and see how that goes. But yeah, if they're silent and non-engaging, your best bet is just send them a DM saying what you do, and that if you can ever be helpful to them or anyone they know you'd love to be top of mind or whatever, send them something useful, like a guide to how to find out what career you want to do next, or whatever, whatever it is. I appreciate it's probably not that simple to send that for free, but something like that, and then just keep posting and just hope that they're going to see your stuff. You can also kind of come at people from their secondary connect, so if if you're not connected with someone and you've got people in common, you can start commenting on their stuff, and because of how LinkedIn works, it's more likely to show that stuff. But yeah, I appreciate it is a difficult situation, so you just got to be brave and send those DMs, and send enough that you're not kind of worrying about the ones that never replied.
And I think there's nothing much that we can do really about that, is there? I mean, I know there's, in the UK alone, there's 47 million profiles on LinkedIn in the UK alone. But the problem is, even by LinkedIn stats, only 40% are active. So you're not going to get, that's an awful lot of people that are just doing nothing with LinkedIn. So again, when you're looking at that targeted list, you need to kind of go, are they actually on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
And we don't know, do we, for sure, unless we can see if they're commenting and posting themselves. But there's a lot of lurkers as well.
Sorry, another thing that might be useful, Laura, actually, is if you go onto someone's profile and scroll down to their activities section, if they haven't posted or commented, you'll see a reactions tab. So you'll at least be able to see when they might have been active on LinkedIn. So even people who don't comment or post, they do sometimes like posts. So that gives you some indication. But again, some people really lurk and they don't even like. So you just got to send the DMs and hope. But, you'll know a percentage of them are actually active. They're just kind of sneaky and staying low to the ground.
Well, do you know what? I knew we could talk about this until the cats come home, and we've already gone over time already. So I just want to say a huge thank you, Charlie, for joining me today. If you've got any more questions for Charlie, do pop them in the events box, and we will, go in and endeavour to answer those for you afterwards. And obviously, if you're watching the replay, please also put your comments in there and questions for Charlie, and we'll get back to you and answer those for you. But that is it for this month's LinkedIn Lovin' Live. Just want to thank Charlie for joining us and everybody else for joining us live today. Enjoy the sunshine, and see you next month. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.